and welcome to the Fairy Godmothers Pod of Wisdom and Knowledge. I am Reverend Elizabeth Howell, and my co-host is...
I'm Reverend Cynthia. Glad to be here. I'm glad to be back, causing trouble again. And for our part 2 with our special guest, Don Antonio Qorianti.
Howdy.
Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here again.
Well, we had such an interesting show last time. We wanted to bring you back because we have a lot of questions. I think everyone out there does too. I thank you for sharing about breathing and people realigning the. I think breath work is very important, and I'm glad you shared about that. And I think if people can get hold of you and want to talk to you more about some of the services you have, we'll talk more about that. But I think that, our topic today was something near and dear to my heart, talking as a heart about near-death experiences. And as my put on my bio, and I talk about this, and I'm very open, is I had a near-death experience at the age of 3. I'm allergic to penicillin and sulfa, and I was given an adult dosage of penicillin and sulfa at the age of 3 for an ear infection, and I died. I went into anaphylactic shock, and I was technically dead for about 3 minutes. My heart had stopped, and I had the classic near-death experience, going out of my body, watching the doctors work on me, and then going through the tunnel, going on to the other side, and then going more on the other side. So, and I have very clear recollections of that whole experience. And what lasted only maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes felt to me like it was hours and days of being on the other side. And so it's interesting. And I would like you shared with us on the previous episode that you had a very serious health scare. And, just to remind the audience, you had, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, real brief. And then we want to go into this near-death experience, because I think people are fascinated, is it hallucination? Is it real? Is it just in the human brain because an endomorphin's been released? Or is this a real thing? Is there really more on the other side? And I try to say to someone, absolutely, there's more on the other side. I have no qualms, or I have 100% understanding by going what I went through, that there is life beyond what we are experiencing here.
Well, there are reports of these same kinds of things all over the world. They cross culture, religion, geographics, everything, but they're always very similar.
Yeah. And this is what we hear it a lot, and it even goes into maybe some ancient writings and other things like that. But it's fun that I can share with someone who has had a near-death experience, because it does change us. And I have explained to students, when I was starting out in this, I had a professor from the University of Berkeley come out and study me. And he was doing, getting information on people who had near-death experiences. And he wandered into the Purple Lotus and found me, and he wanted to talk to me and study me. And he was talking about how in a near-death experience, there's a certain endomorphin that is released in the human body, and it's only released during a near-death experience. And I can't remember the name of the endomorphin, but it's released, and it changes the brain chemistry like 100%. And it opens the seat of consciousness. It opens the area between the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And
the corpus callosum. Yes.
There we go. See, you know the scientific names on this.
Yeah.
You do. So what that does is it changes the brain forever and permanently. And it opens the radio. I just tell people, it opens the radio to God or the higher powers or whatever you want to call it.
So what's already there?
It was already there, but it turns on that radio to full volume, you know? And that's what happened to me. And so when I came back from my near-death experience, I was able to see, hear, I was able to see spirits, angels, everything here. So now I get to talk and pick the brain of someone who's had the same experience. So first, tell everyone about your near death, what happened, and then we'll talk about what while you were dead.
Okay. So as we talked about in the first one, I had a very serious condition, aortic dissection. So it's called a Class A aortic dissection. And it was so bad that they didn't expect me to live. I had less than 1% chance of survival. I went into an emergency surgery. As soon as they administered the anesthesia, I popped right out of my body. So a little backstory. This isn't my first time being out of my body.
Not
So
your first
somewhere
rodeo.
around 2017, I started to be able to basically, I call it quantum traveling, but some people call it astral travel. So this is just us stepping into a light body, stepping into a body that's beyond the physical, which is really what we are. We're stepping into the deeper body. So I was already kind of used to that, and the endomorphins and things you're describing at the deepest level, it's DMT. I mentioned that earlier too, dimethyltryptamine. When you go into that death state, when your body's shutting down, what happens is the pineal gland and the lungs release dimethyltryptamine. And what
Oh.
happens is it takes you into that heightened brain state. So this also happens with tryptophans or tryptamines, magic mushrooms. That's
Okay.
one of the best things about psychedelics is they actually put energy into the corpus callosum, which is the piece of meat of the brain essentially between the left and right hemispheres, and get both hemispheres to begin to communicate in a way they don't normally communicate. And by this happening, this opens up deeper sensory perception for us, because we're used to these 5 kind of senses we're programmed to, but we have many more beyond there, but that can't work until the brain is open and working that way. So it wasn't new to me to be out of my body or anything like that. So that felt very natural, but weird because I didn't have control over it. I didn't make it happen. It just happened. And then so I spent time, and time was already kind of weird at that point, but I was floating around out of my body. I was watching all the people get all the tooling ready. It was like really amazing to see how fast and orchestrated everyone was working to get this ready. And then I kind of would flash out of there where I would move into like the feeling like as if I was a bird and I would be flying along like a coastline. It was just beautiful, paradise, just flying along. And then they do something, move my physical body or something. And for people that astral travel, one of the things that keeps us safe is our tether. There's a tether that connects us at the umbilicus, the navel. And so when they move a body, if someone were to disturb your physical body while you're astral, you'll kind of be alarmed by that. And it's like a rubber band. Snaps you
Or
back.
silver cord or something.
Yeah, so since my body was unconscious, I couldn't come back into my body, but I would come into the proximity. And when I came back into the proximity, that's when I would see my doctors, my surgeon. I could stand right next to her. I could see the pores of her skin, her glasses. I could look down into my own open chest. And it was just wild to me how far in your heart is, because you have to deflate your lungs and move them out of the way and take your esophagus and pin it out of the way.
Wow.
And then your heart's way back there. And she had these little tools in her little hands, and there's all these people and all these tools, and it was just amazing. And I kind of float out again. That would kind of come and go back and forth, and they move my body or do something that would shock me back into there. But it was so cool to watch. I could see my spirit guides. They were standing behind the people, had their hands out behind them, like orchestrating a
Giving them
field
energy,
of
helping them
energy.
out,
They were coherent fields of energy, and it was just amazing. And then I got to the part of my surgery where the last 62 minutes, they totally shut. So this is really wild. It didn't exist in the reality I came from, which I talked about that in the last one. So what they're able to do is they can use the heart and lung machine, the pump, to cool down your blood to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is deep hypothermia. And then they recirculate it into your body, and then they put cooling sheets, these cooling blankets over your body, put you in a hypothermic mode, but then they shut off all of your circulation. So there's no circulation, no perfusion into the brain or anything, and they have only about 60 minutes before you start to have like irreversible forms of brain damage. But I had lots of trouble afterwards. Most people do. They call it pump head after you have that kind of surgery done. But anyways, back to the thing, when they shut me down and took all that stuff, took my heartbeat away completely, because I was already on a heart and lung machine, so my heart and lungs were already stopped. But then the circulation stopped. That's when it felt like I kind of got sucked. Some people say like a tunnel of light. It was more like I got stretched out. Went whoosh, got stretched out and shot out into like outer space. And then for a short period of time, as I floated into space, I still had like an awareness of like my body or being or something. Like I had an identity still. And as I was going out into space, it's like slowly all the identity melted away. It all melted away.
Okay.
Until it was just open spaciousness. There was nothing else. It's beyond language then at that point. There's no language to talk about. I don't have anything that I could tell you because I don't have like a me and a place. I am the place. I
Right.
became one with the universe at that time. I returned back to my oneness with all that is. And in that time, I can't tell you anything about anything really, because that's just a blank spot. But then when I started to be drawn back, I became aware, like, wow, it feels like so much time has passed. Like, and if I had to tell you, it'd be like what I would consider in a human mind idea of like thousands of years, 3,000 years. And I slowly got pulled back into my body, and the next thing I know, I wake up in a recovery room, and my wife's next to me. They're whispering. I'm intubated, and I have all these tubes in my gut and all over the place. It was really wild to wake up. I was just so drugged up, and it was all really like just really cloudy right after there. I couldn't really remember too much. It took about 3 days until I came off the fentanyl, and then it all started flooding back to me.
Right.
And I started having really profound spiritual experiences with my guides and things, the things I
Right.
normally communicate with.
Well, did at that moment when you were in that space,
Yes.
would you describe it as a feeling of, like, what I would describe for me was that the feeling when I was on the other side was there's no drug on this planet of the intense love. Just it was overwhelming, just being part of such an
Yes.
intense love.
Yeah.
That it's a love that's so intense and so profound that you there's no just description for it. Like you
Right.
cannot describe a love on this planet equal to that love you felt.
Yes.
Is that the best way? I mean, that's the way I can put it into
I was
words.
even further beyond that. What you're describing there is something I normally kind of experience in my practice. So I'm able to move into, I call that space the void. So the wide openness.
Okay.
So moving into that wide openness where it's just love, where it's just, there's,
Yeah.
and that's not, that's just a word. We try to say love, but we
Yeah.
don't really, love doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have a meaning.
Right.
It's a vibration. It's a feeling. So
Right.
It's that. It's all of the best feelings you could possibly
Yeah.
feel all at once.
Okay,
Is kind of how
okay.
it felt. Like all of the joy or the greatest light all at once is kind of how it
I
felt.
would like, and I'm glad you put that because the void, but to me it was all, when I was on the other side, it was all pure white light. It was just pure white light.
Yeah,
The
I go
brightest,
there often. For me,
whitest
that's like a
light.
room. So there's like a room
It
for
actually
me.
was like a room.
Yeah,
Actually, it
I've
was
been
like
there
it was
many
a room.
times. Yeah, that I know a lot about. That for me is like a room. So this was beyond the room. This was outside of that.
Yeah, I saw outside the room. There was a window, but I didn't go there.
Yeah.
I was in a
I didn't have a choice, so
I was
just
in a
got pulled out.
classroom. They put me in a classroom.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know what the name of the classroom was. So interesting. So I shared that, not the first time, but I think people need to know that there is, within the mind, the many mansions, or however you want to call it, the many doors of perceptions, or the many layers of reality. I think that people tend to just get so caught up in this perceived reality, and I
Yes.
think it's important for people to know that there's good stuff beyond, and that we need to create heaven on earth, not
Right.
the opposite. Not wait for heaven,
Yeah.
not wait to go there, but to bring it here.
Yep, that starts from within inside of us, okay?
Absolutely.
So like I always like to point out is you don't experience reality. None of us are experiencing reality. We're experiencing a nervous system. Everything you think is reality is a sensation that you're taking in through this beautiful instrument that is your human body or your nervous system. That is all of this perception, even our perceptions of our near-death experience, that happens through a nervous system.
Yep.
And the thing is, I've been tuning my nervous system to like an instrument for years and years and years. So it was like I was set up for this particular thing to happen.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with that. That is a fascinating. Well, how can people get hold of you again? You have a Facebook page?
Yeah, my Facebook page is primarily how most people get a hold of me, and that's just my name, Don Antonio Qorianti. You can find me on there. And then I have a YouTube channel as well, and that's called Chronic Wellness Technologies, which is our wellness business that my wife and I run currently.
Okay, awesome. And that didn't come up as a crawl, but we will find that as soon as we can. I think people need to, I think you offer a lot of services,
Yeah.
and then you offer a Sunday morning
Church alternative.
Church alternative.
Yeah, sort of like that. It's so the format has changed just recently. I had like a big kind of download come into me because through everything that I've been doing, I was asked I'm part of a research team at the Cleveland Clinic because they've researched me because my ability to heal from what happened to me,
Yes, yeah.
like it's so profound to them. They wanted to know more. So they started to bring me into these groups and meetings, and I talked to them, and then they asked me, I told them about like how I do it. Like I've mixed these technologies and work them together to help myself heal, but I also help others heal. And they're like, oh, that's really amazing. Can you like develop something that we can use like in a clinical kind of sense where you're using like clean kind of like medical and scientific language that we can present this and, perhaps turn it into something that, maybe insurance could bill for. So I started working with them. I didn't have any contractual obligations or anything. But as I built this, what's happened is Spirit has come to me and they told me, we don't want you to sell this to the clinic. We want you to give it away.
That's good because, the clinic
So
will
I give it
go,
away,
go,
and
go,
that's
go.
something I've been doing for years. I've been
Good.
working with clients all over the world, regardless of income or money.
There we go.
So I help everybody, and then most people, I just say, hey, make a donation if you can. So there's people I've helped and still continue to work with. They
So-
make little donations to help.
And previously, healing is healing. So thank you. We want people to get hold of you. Get hold of you for healing. Don't be afraid to try anything and everything. Throw the kitchen sink at something. Don't be afraid to try something new or different outside the box.
Yeah,
All right.
especially if it's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
if the worst thing is nothing happens,
Right.
go for it.
Worst thing is you breathe better.
Yes.
Right? You learn to do
Yeah,
something
I
different.
haven't ever had that happen, so I don't know. I've never worked with someone where nothing's happened. So there's a wide variety of how people respond, but most people that come to me are people who already have tried a bunch of things. Most
Yeah.
people don't go see the shaman the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I would recommend you do because I'm an intuitive, so I can help you. I actually help people. I read their blood tests and everything and give them, advice on what to ask their doctors, or maybe you need to fire this doctor and hire a new one, because the big mistake I notice with my clients is they've been spending a long time in the, I call it the sick care system because they're not really, it's not healthy people, but looking at doctors as like people of like authority instead of people that are coworkers here to help you. So I hire and fire my physicians accordingly. Even though I'm a holistic practitioner, I'm not anti-Western medicine. It's just not used properly. It needs to be molded together.
Yeah.
I would like to see a world where we go into a hospital and first you meet with an intuitive. Meet with intuitive that sees you as a whole being and a whole structure and then sends you off, then starts to help you figure out what to get tested and what to get looked at.
Yeah, but our current system can't bill for that.
Well, they're doing it. That's already been happening. So there's
Really?
medical alternatives. So
Good.
most people don't know this. So the Cleveland Clinic has Reiki available.
Oh, yeah, I
they
knew
do.
that.
We
I
all
know.
know. We know.
Most
Cleveland
people
Clinic's
don't
had,
know that because they don't tell you about it. I had to
no,
find out
they've
for
had
myself.
Reiki available for
They have a
decades
whole
already.
kind of spiritual things set up, but the thing is I went and talked to them, and what it is a lot of it's it's wishy-washy
Yeah, it
because
is.
they're looking for people to do spiritual work, but have like through a degree. And what any true spiritualist knows that you don't gain your spiritual power through any sort of, it doesn't come through a certificate, it doesn't come through a degree, it comes through your living energy,
Yeah,
through your
well,
living connection to
that's
source.
unfortunately part of our culture. We all
Yeah.
want that certificate on
Right.
the wall
Yeah.
to prove that you've done something.
Well, that'd be a
Yeah.
whole nother show.
Yes.
So I guess we're going to jump into a cosmic traffic
Yes.
report really quick because I'm going to
Cosmic
finish
traffic
up.
report.
And now,
I'm
the
gonna finish-
Cosmic Traffic Report.
Thank
Ooh,
you.
we
I love
need that all the time. We
Sure.
need that.
So we'll finish up for June. June 17th, cosmic traffic report for the last 2 weeks of June. June 17th, Venus opposes Pluto at 5 degrees. That'll be a Leo-Aquarius opposition at 4:38 p.m. This transition brings in a very lustful and vivacious energy to the evening. We may flirt or be attracted to others, ideal, and we may be looking or feeling out to find the best partner, find the ideal partner or the ideal marriage person or the ideal, looking for perfection. We also be taking our focus up a notch for wealth and high demands for everyone around us, family or friends. And we got to learn to balance. We have to learn to find some balance with our lives. So unbalances may come up We may be seeing the unbalances in our lives. We may need to find restraint in certain areas of our lives. We may have to pay attention to some things that need healing. So this will be challenging for the Leos, Aquarians, the Tauruses, and the Scorpios. June 21st, the sun will move into the sign of Cancer at 4:24 a.m. Happy summer solstice. Yay. Let's go dancing. Have a fire.
Please.
Yeah.
Naked
Yeah.
around the fire in the moonlight.
All right.
You
That's
do
where you'll
that.
find me.
That's on you. June 25th, the sun will square Neptune at 4 degrees. That's a Cancer Aries square at 6:38 p.m. And this transit will bring in an excessively emotional and lack of motivation to the day, and to the evening, and to the next day, actually. And we may want to hide from the world, our feelings, and also hide from our feelings and also from ourselves. Be careful of deception and fraud. So be careful of things online, be careful of online purchases, and also be careful of deceiving ourselves. Challenging for Cancer, Aries, and Capricorns, and Librans.
I think that everybody has a problem with deceiving themselves most of the time.
Yeah. Now, June 28th, Mars will move into the sign of Gemini. So the planet of action will move into a more spontaneous energy, and we may act out more excitable, and we may be more alert. We also may be more restless.
Yeah, be alert. The world needs more alerts.
Yes. This will be at 3:28 p.m. on the 28th. Our minds may wander a little bit more, and we may be more adventurous with our thoughts and our reading, and kind of just our minds want to be more adventurous with kind of where, education and things like that. We also want to have our freedom. We want to be more, more willful and have more freedom with our thoughts. And we want maybe it's just more straightforward with how we talk with people, and our minds will be very observant with other people. So this will be very good for the Geminis, rough for the Sagittarians, and challenging for the Pisces and the Virgos. Now, June 29th, Mercury will go retrograde, and I could go on for a whole, 25 minutes no, I'm not going to. Mercury retrograde.
Retrogrades really trigger you, don't they?
June 29th, Mercury goes retrograde at 26 degrees Cancer at 1:36 p.m. We know that the planet communication, when it begins to go backwards, this will be its summer trek backwards. This is rehash, rewind, back over, redo. Be careful with travel. Be careful signing contracts. Be careful, back up your computer, watch all those things, just go slow, take your time with travel, be aware, watch things that go along with travel, communications, post offices, all of the above. This is going to be challenging for basically the Cancerians, particularly the Capricorns, and just everyone else. Don't worry about it. Just
don't worry about it.
June 30th, interestingly enough, Jupiter will move into the sign of Leo. And this is going to be fun. Jupiter is a planet of good luck and good fortune, education, expansion. In the sign of Leo, Jupiter is going to give us a jovial, kind of expansive energy. This is good luck. This is a time when people are going to be feeling a lot. I like Jupiter in Leo. I really do like that aspect. And this is going to make us feel more outgoing. This is going to be people feeling more expressive, happier. I like Jupiter in Leo in particular. It's a time when people want to celebrate. It's a time when people want to enjoy other people. People are going to have more interest in events and hanging out with people, and more social. And it's also good for education and socializing, and I mean social as in humanity. I think people are going to want to help other humans, help with humanity. I think it's going to add to that for the next couple of years. Jupiter will be in the sign of Leo for 2 years. So all you Leos, enjoy. You're going to have a good time. Aquarians, you're going to have to watch yourselves, pump the brakes a few times. And the Tauruses and the Scorpios, well, we're just going to have some challenges. It's always been challenges. Anyway, thank you very much.
And that's your cosmic traffic report.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to move into the duck energy. And it's that time of year when the mama ducks have a trail of 7 or so ducklings trailing behind them. And hopefully the traffic stops and patiently waits for them to cross the road, which I have seen so far, as we tape this, it's duckling time. Such has been the scene in my recent travels around our small city. So let's dive into the meaning behind all that duck energy. My personal energy or personal take on the duck energy is that duck carries the energy of emotional movement and quiet trust. When duck appears, it often brings you back to the image of still ponds, flowing water, and the feeling of sunlight reflecting across the surface. There's something deeply calming and familiar in its presence, a reminder that emotions are meant to move, cleanse, and settle naturally when we stop fighting their flow. Duck teaches you to show nourishment beneath the surface, or to seek nourishment beneath the surface. Like a duck tipping itself upside down into the water, there are times when you are called to look deeper for what truly sustains you emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. This requires vulnerability. There is always a moment when your footing disappears and that you trust yourself enough to reach below the visible surface anyway. Yet duck does not do this entirely alone. There is trust in the flock, trust in companionship, trust in knowing that while one lowers its head beneath the water, others remain nearby. Duck energy reminds you that safety and vulnerability can exist together. There is also a gentle domestic quality to duck. It carries the warmth of breezy days, familiar spaces, and quiet routines. It nurtures through presence rather than force. This energy often values home, comfort, emotional familiarity, and the wisdom passed down through generations. Duck follows the pathway worn by elders, not blindly, but with respect for lessons already learned. In other words, you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. You can learn from others. It understands the value of shared wisdom and the comfort found in community. When we look at how others look at the duck energy, we find that traditionally duck is connected to emotional adaptability, grace, and communication. It moves through water, land, and sky with surprising ease, teaching the ability to navigate different emotional and spiritual environments without losing one's balance. Duck energy carries patience and practicality rather than forcing solutions. It looks for smoother, more natural pathways forward. There is a lesson here about quieting the mind, quieting the monkey mind, that's scattered, anxious chatter that complicates simple truths. Duck reminds you that elegant solutions are often the ones that flow naturally rather than the ones created through struggle. Communication is central to duck symbolism. Ducks are vocal creatures, constantly calling to one another, reinforcing connection within the flock. Spiritually, this can point towards speaking your truth honestly, openly, while remaining emotionally grounded. Duck also teaches emotional management. Water represents the emotions, and duck moves through it effortlessly, showing how to experience feelings without drowning in them. It encourages finding emotional comfort rather than avoiding emotional depth. At times, duck energy calls for curiosity and exploration, like diving beneath the surface of the water. It supports deeper learning, study, and immersion into subjects that genuinely interest the soul. But duck is not all seriousness. There is playfulness here too. A reminder to be silly, lighthearted, and present. Its energy often brings moments of laughter and emotional softness, helping loosen rigid thinking and emotional heaviness. Across many traditions, duck is also seen as a symbol of good fortune, especially in relationships, family life, and new beginnings. The phrase lucky duck reflects this naturally fortunate energy. Combined with its nurturing and communal nature, duck often symbolizes generosity, companionship, and emotional abundance. But then we get into that pesky shadow side of things. When duck energy falls out of balance, emotional flow can become emotional avoidance. Instead of trusting vulnerability, there may be a tendency to hide true feelings beneath the calm surface, wanting to appear stronger or more confident than you actually feel. Duck's connection to the flock can also become unhealthy dependence. There may be fear of standing apart, leading to excessive conformity, peer pressure, or always following rather than developing your own direction. In trying to maintain belonging, individuality may quietly disappear. At times, this energy may become overly broody or emotionally withdrawn, lingering too long in moods or internal struggles without expressing them clearly. Rather than learning from the experience of others, there can be the need to make every mistake personally, resisting guidance that could ease unnecessary hardship. Duck energy may also avoid difficult emotional confrontations altogether, like taking flight at the first sign of discomfort. There can be a tendency to escape challenging situations instead of remaining present long enough to work through them honestly. In its lowest expression, duck fears appearing weak, emotional, or hidden vulnerabilities are masked, and inner struggles are kept beneath the surface where no one can see them. Yet this only creates greater emotional distance and exhaustion over time. The balance returns when duck remembers that true grace is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to move with emotion honestly and naturally. Duck does not survive by pretending the water is not there. It survives because it learns how to float within it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. This has been the Fairy Godmothers Pod of Wisdom and Knowledge. I am Reverend Elizabeth Howell, and this has been Reverend Cynthia.
Yep.
And our wonderful guest.
Don Antonio Qorianti.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.